This one category of metrics for your practice could completely change the way you grow your law firm. Hi, I'm Charlie Mann with Law Firm Alchemy, and this is something I talk about with coaching clients all the time because it's not discussed quite frequently enough with most law firms. And this is simply what I call the speed to cash category of metrics for your firm. We could almost call it a speed to cash ratio. The idea is when you get a new case, client, or file, how quickly are you able to not only monetize that file, but to close it out? The goal of owning a law firm is not to have a gigantic inventory. The goal of owning the law firm from a business perspective is to have an efficiently run, profitable practice. And to do that, we can't let cases just sit around. Here are a lot of the problems that I see, starting with personal injury firms, but we'll talk about criminal defense, family law as well, in addition to some estate planning. For personal injury, one of the problems is cases sitting on the shelves. Now, I know that it is important to work up claims. I'm not denying the value of the legal work itself and putting extra effort over a longer duration of time into the legal work to get the best results. But there always comes a point of diminishing returns. I know this because I've talked with so many personal injury attorneys over the year that even the ones who are the best, who will take a case to trial, who will work it up, who will absolutely crush it, will openly admit that there comes a point when it probably would be better to hit the settlement. There will be a portion of your cases that you just got to take to trial in order to get the biggest effect for the client. Again, not denying what is a simple fact here. However, for the majority of cases, letting them linger around in pre-litigation or even early litigation stages doesn't really improve the financial product for your client. You would be better off getting that case handled faster. Now, it's not just let's wrap up the legal work, it's how well are you getting the client to handle sending you their paperwork? How well are you internally getting the demand letter out? Are clients who are on, say, a chiropractic plan, are they being called and told that they need to show up for their treatment? Are you managing the treatment phase? These are all different things that allow you to move faster and speed to cash. One of the first ways to help yourself improve speed to cash is by simply improving how fast you get demand packages out the door. Measure how long it takes from signing a client to demand package going out as your baseline and start shrinking that by about 20 to 25%. And you will see almost an instant impact on your ability to generate cash faster in your practice. This, by the way, goes to a little mindset thing for a lot of personal injury firms, which is, oh, well, I'm signing cases today and they'll pay off later. Oh, and I've always got this stack of future cases in front of me. What happens with that mindset is you're always thinking about the money in the future. And there's almost, let's be honest here, there's almost a little bit of fear of front loading the financial impact if you've been so adjusted to the average length of case being, say, 18 months, and all of a sudden it becomes 12 months. It feels like, oh, I'm gonna have to generate cases faster. Well, obviously, that's not how it works. You'll just reset, and yes, some of your money will be pushed forward, and you might have a moment where you go, oh my God, it feels like my inventory is wrapping up so fast, I need to add a ton more cases. But you're obviously going to reach a new equilibrium at that 12-month mark. The only difference here is you will now be putting cash back into the practice faster for its growth, whether that's hiring, marketing strategies, or systems that will propel you to the next level of overall growth. And the best part is when the money starts coming in faster, when you take the risk of growth, like adding another $10,000, $25,000 per month in marketing expenses, you will see the return on that faster, meaning you're more confident about taking those risks. In family law, which is an area that is almost entirely hourly billing, though some do flat fee, our consideration here is how good are we at actually collecting the money? Well, and are we actually billing the cases? I could do an entire hour-long diatribe on the issues family law firms are experiencing with getting people to bill a solid average of just 4 hours per day, much less trying to get them to hit higher metrics than that, like the 6.5, 7 hours per day that maybe we could have gotten in the past. But that's not this video, is it? Instead, this is about how do we make sure that we are at least returning our cash as fast as possible. This has entirely to do with, are we billing clients early on? Are we getting the bills to them? Are we setting expectations of payments? Are we following up? And are we not leaving a gigantic account receivable? Do we communicate well with clients and let them know, hey, for your file to be worked on, there needs to be the money available to work on it. When we communicate with you about refreshing your retainer, it's important that you respond to us swiftly so that way we continue to take the appropriate actions. Now, on top of that, we should probably be thinking about making sure your prices are stronger than the average family law firm, because if you charge less, if you're trying to win the pricing war, again, a whole other video right there, but if you're trying to win the pricing war, you're fighting a losing battle. Better to be premium priced and need to put in fewer hours per file because you've got great experts working on the file than to have to work files the extra 20% longer that a firm that is poorly run might need to do. So bring those prices up. For criminal defense and even estate planning, but especially criminal defense, when we have a flat fee payment that happens up front, a lot of times there's this, well, we've been paid, we can let the case hang around. You know that's not the case, because the difference between having 50 files with an attorney and 100 files with an attorney is twice as many clients who are asking what's going on in their file. That right there alone costs you money. Now again, I understand there can be value about trying to let the cases linger, to wait for a deal to happen, but waiting out infinitely is not only potentially bad for your client because they're constantly on edge, but it might be bad for your future clients. Think about this. I remember having a great discussion with a coaching client about this very issue, where he realized, hey, if I start making sure that we get really strong deals, but we're not trying to wait until the very, very end of it all, when the deal is almost exactly the same, and usually it's our own fault for kicking the can, and that's why the deal is the same thing. Instead, when we know we've got the best deal based on all these files that we've handled before, let's get it taken care of and maintain a great relationship with the prosecutors, with the other side, so that way, for all of our future clients, prosecutors maybe understand that we're always going to be fair, we're going to help them wrap up files, and we're more likely to get favorable outcomes. It's just like a PI firm that chooses to be nice to the insurance adjuster instead of constantly antagonistic. That will allow you to move it faster. With one of my coaching clients, one of the things that we did was we worked on lowering inventory. This was super stressful for him at first because he was going from constantly growing his inventory to intentionally trying to lower it by going back through files and recognizing, this really is one that should be wrapped up, like truly needs to be wrapped up. It is actually the best thing for the client to go ahead and get this taken care of rather than letting this matter linger, so that way they can move on with their lives, consequences or not. Over the next few months, we toppled the inventory, bringing the overall number of files in the firm down by over 15%, while at the same time marketing bringing files up on the other side. The problem is if you're always bringing your files up and you never have files going out the door, you actually get a false impression about how good things are for your firm. Instead of them being great because you're adding new valuable cases and you're moving them through quickly, instead you're just piling up a lot of extra busy work that isn't that profitable. It's stressing out your team and preventing you from adding new files without just having to hire more people, but the finances just don't make sense at that point. Good, well-run systems allow for you to hire at the right pace and get the right profit margin with the right level of inventory in your law firm. The estate planning firms, same thing is pretty much true as with the criminal defense. Once you get someone signed, the goal should be to have as tight of a process as humanly possible. Obviously, that's to the tremendous benefit of your client. They don't want things waiting around, but if you have loose ends with a prospect or an existing client, you want to tie those up as fast as possible. Encourage people to take action, follow up, nudge them a little bit. You don't need to be the annoying pest, but you also don't want to be the person who's just waiting back and saying, you know what, they'll do it when they do it. Imagine if they've paid for an estate plan, they paid you $8,000 to handle work for you. Yeah, they've been a little bit bad about setting time for the signing meeting, and you let it just go. You're like, oh yeah, whenever's good for you. And then the worst happens. Imagine if they pass and that plan has not actually been signed, and now this thing's going to go into probate. There's going to be a big debate over it. Is that the best thing for the client? No, it's the worst thing for the client and the worst thing for your firm at the same time. Be efficient, conclude matters, and you will see much better results in your firm because of greater speed to cash, which lets you reinvest and create your virtuous flywheel in the practice. Want to see more ideas like this consistently? Sign up for our email list in the description below, and make sure you watch the other videos for other great ideas on how to grow your law firm.